get this thing started. So this is going to be a very, very, hey, Brian McClare's here. This is going to be a very, very informal thing. I like to get questions from y'all to make sure that I'm doing all my training and it's moving in the right direction, that I'm answering the questions that you're looking for. And so I did get a lot of questions from everybody from the Facebook page, and then also some individual messengers that I'm going to go through that I just kind of wanted. And if I can't answer it, or I don't feel like I'll do it justice during this training video, I will definitely make it a new training video so I can actually probably get slide decks and some different stuff to help make sure that we're all completely understanding everybody's question. But for the most part, a lot of the questions I got are actually pretty simple. So hopefully we can tackle them here today. And I'm going to break this recording up into a bunch of different videos, so I can just answer one question at a time. So that way we don't have one massive hour-long video that you have to dig through to find the answer to your question. So hopefully that'll work. So, but before I get started, does anybody, because Alicia, Tiffany, and I think that's it, emailed me questions or gave me questions that because they can't be here. Do y'all have any questions that y'all want to talk about before we get started? What's going on that y'all want some help with, or just want to talk through?
I don't off the top of my head, but I think once we get into the questions, there might be more that come up.
Gotcha. Kevin, Diana, Ryan, if not, I see a lot of y'all are muted. I know some people drive while they're doing this, so it doesn't bother me at all. I appreciate you just being on. So does anybody have any questions while I got you here that you want to go first?
I actually do. I saw this morning when I woke up on Facebook. I saw a MLS posting that they're offering a buyer's commission of 3% plus $1,000 to the buyer's agent. Why would they market that property like that versus just increasing your buyer's commission?
Because that $1,000 is not a percentage. So if it's a $300,000 house, you know, that they're just trying to get an even number in there. So that's just considered a bonus or anything like that. And it's actually, they just want to make sure it's like, hey, you get 3% plus $1,000. It's actually, I wouldn't say real typical, but I have seen it quite a bit, especially lately, where people do that stuff. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can find one of these. Sorry, guys.
Who pays that bonus? So is that the realtor, or is that coming out of the seller's?
It'll come out of the sellers. It'll come out of the seller's thing. So more than likely what happened is that the selling agent, when they filled out the exclusive right to sell, they said, hey, look, typically we offer $6,000. And they go, well, we really need to do it. And we really need to move this house quickly. And he goes, well, would you be interested in offering like an additional incentive? Because out of that 6%, I keep 3, we give 3, you want to add like $1,000 onto it? And they say, yeah, sure. Okay, so it's now 6% plus $1,000. Depending on the price point of the house, you know what I mean? You don't want it'd just be weird to, if it's a $700,000 house, you don't want to have something that says, okay, your commission is 3.0265% to equal out to that, you know what I mean, to that $1,000. It's going to get lost in translation. So it's a little bit easier.
Sorry, I have a quick question, Kevin. Is this property like a brand new property, or has it been on the market a while? Because they could have always gone back to the seller and like updated that the listing agreement, just if like, let's say it's not moving and it's been on the market for like 30, 60 days, they're not getting a lot of showings, there's no serious buyers, they could have added that in like after the fact as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like it's a investor's flip. I didn't pay too much attention to it. It was just as I was scrolling, but it looked like it just finished a flip job on it.
Gotcha. And that, like, again, it might just be, if she's right. If it's been on the market for a while and they're trying to find some way to move the needle, maybe they incentivize the other realtor. And, you know, otherwise, it could have been something discussed early on. It just kind of depends on the situation, but it doesn't really affect you. And by the way, guys, from an ethical standpoint, you can't, like, if they're between two houses, you can't lean on to go with that house just because you get an extra $1,000. Remember, you got that fiduciary responsibility. You got to go to them and say, you know, which one do you want? Here's the pros, here's the con, and let them make the decision. Yes, we all agree that it would be nice to have an extra $1,000 in your pocket, but you just cannot use your financial gain for the client to make a decision. If that makes, are you tracking with me?
Yeah, I guess that's why I was asking, because it just seemed like it was more so of a marketing thing to drive more agents to that house, but I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah, now, I mean, it's ethical to do that, because what that's going to incentivize is if I see that, I'm going to say, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and go by and look at this one? You know what I mean? I will encourage my clients to go look at that because I might get an extra $1,000. That might be worth me driving across town. But you know, that just, you can't make that decision. You can't lean on them and say, no, you really like this one. You can't do that for your own financial gain. And by the way, guys, down here on the contract, how you fill this out, this is just a random contract I pulled. So down here at this bottom part, you'll type in 3% plus $1,000. Okay, so just so you know how to fill that out to make sure you get paid. And then pay very close attention to the HUD settlement statement. Excuse me. Pay very close attention to the HUD settlement statement when that time comes, because a lot of times title companies just get into that habit, 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, and they don't really look down at the contract to make sure it is a true 3%.
And you would be surprised how often HUDs are wrong. Basically, they're always wrong on my end. And so I'm always having to catch, especially on like the wholesale stuff, because we have other fees like transaction fees and whatnot that buyers typically pay. And 9 out of 10 times it's an incorrect HUD. So what I do personally when I'm at a closing is I pull up whatever documentation and I make sure I go line by line by line and make sure everything is correct, because they're usually wrong.
That is a 100% incredibly smart factual statement.
And honestly, guys, if y'all aren't checking your HUD and you're just letting your client go in and sign and it's wrong and they sign and they fund, they're SOL. Because that's why you have to like double check those HUDs, because like the littlest things could be wrong. So if you're helping an investor client and there's tenants, you need to make sure those prorated rents are on there. You need to make sure their security deposits are on there. Like any fee that's within that contract, depending on who's paying for it, needs to be on there.
Right. Yeah, just take your time with the HUD. And then there is a video where we go through a HUD settlement statement. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, get on there, because I do walk through it line by line, exactly what every single one of those lines means. So keep a close eye on it. That answer your question, Kevin? I'm going to go with yes.